Welcome back guys, Jimmy Jules 153 here with another episode of Short Circuits. Today we'll be learning how to work with the movable objects thermometer so that we can get as many movable objects in a scene as the gameplay thermometer will allow for. This scene that I'm in here has about 3,000 bricks in it, and each of the different coloured bricks has different properties. The red bricks are slow motion. The blue bricks are only moving when they're in a certain area, and the green bricks, once they're moving, they will keep moving until they've stopped. The normal movable object limit is about 260, so to have 3,000 objects in a scene that are all technically movable is a big jump. I'm going to jump out of this demo scene now and take us into the tutorial scene. Alrighty guys, so we're in our tutorial scene now. You can see we've got a few setups here that I'm going to take you through. First of all, I'll start off with the blue bricks because these are the ones that I came up with first. Basically, I wanted things to only be movable when you were in a certain area, so I've made these bricks with a tag each on them. This tag is then plugged into the movable setting on the sculpt. So basically, whenever one of these tags is detected, it'll output a signal and make this brick movable. Over on our puppet, we've got a trigger zone here that's just around the puppet. This trigger zone activates the tags that are on the bricks and then makes them movable. So basically the bricks will only be movable when the player is around them. If I open up one of the bricks properties here, and jump onto the physical properties page, you can see here that by default the brick is not movable. But if we pop into test mode and walk over to the wall, you can see on the tweak menu that the brick becomes movable. You can see the wall sort of settles as we get close and the bricks start moving. But then as soon as we walk away from the bricks, they become static again. This saves heaps on the thermometer and can save on FPS as well. Now for the first puppet that I was making, I wanted to make one that could sort of push bricks out of the way with a bit of a force. So I gave this one a bit of a force push. And with the blue bricks, you can see that as soon as they're not in that force and movable area, that they sort of stop moving and freeze in the air. This could be cool for some circumstances, but it's not very useful. To get around this, I came up with the green bricks. I'll just show you the setup for these green bricks here. On each of these bricks we've got a microchip and we've got a tag just like we did on our blue bricks. Tag is also plugged into the movable option on the sculpt just like it was before. But as well as that, we've also got a movement sensor. We've got this plugged into a calculator set to greater than. So what this is saying is if there's any movement from this brick at all, then activate this calculator. This calculator is also plugged into the movable setting. So basically once the brick has started moving, it won't stop moving until it's completely come to a stop. I'll show you what I mean in test mode. You can see that the bricks are completely static and they don't move at all. Then as soon as they start moving, they continue to move until they come to a complete stop, and then they become static again. So if I open up the tweak menu of one of these bricks here, you can see that this one is completely unmovable. And then when we hit it with the force, oh, missed it. It'll stay movable until it stops and then it becomes unmovable again. This is a great way to get around the movable objects thermometer because you can only have about 260 movable objects in the level. You can sort of on the fly make objects movable as you need to. The final brick design I came up with was the red brick, and this one I'll show you now. This one has a bit of a slow motion effect to it. You can see the bricks are quite fast to begin with, then they slow themselves down and come to a stop. They're then static in that position as well, so they are completely static and unmovable. Now I'll just show you how these ones are done. And I'm just going to compare these to the green bricks as well, because they're quite similar. Okay, so you can see here that we've got the exact same setup with the 3 gadgets here. We've just added 3 more, a NOT gate, a mover, and a rotator. So the way that these red bricks work is whenever they're not in the zone around the player with the NOT gate, then we've got these 2 gadgets here, the rotator and the mover, which is just set to dampen. So they're both set to 0, which is going to just slow the object down. And we've set these both to a lower dampening so that they slow themselves down more slowly. You can see initially they're very movable, and then as they get out of that movable object area, with the trigger zone, they slow themselves down with the dampening of the 2 other gadgets. On our puppet here, hooked up to the square button, is this little microchip. This basically just applies a force and also activates a trigger zone to make our blocks movable. It also has a keyframe here to make the puppet hold its hands out in the air to make it look like it's trying to push. So basically whenever we hit the square button, these 2 gadgets are going to turn on, and anything in these zones is going to become movable and be pushed away by the force applier. The green bricks are probably the most useful because they're the most realistic. They'll continue to move until they come to a natural stop. You can of course use this for more than just bricks. Just another quick example is some spheres that are only movable when the player's around them. You can see the tags start to light up as we get close, and that tag lighting up activates the movable setting, and the spheres become movable. We can also save some thermometer with this, just by emitting these bricks. So if we come over here, I've got this 4 wall set up, and this is only around when I'm in this area. So you can see this is quite expensive and does take up a fair bit of thermo, but as soon as I step out of the area, the bricks disappear and our thermo frees back up. You can have entire walls that can be completely destroyed, either with a puppet or with some other means, which I'll show you now. This wall set up here, and I've just got an emitter emitting a cannonball at the wall. I'll quickly show you the logic on that cannonball. All that we've got is a trigger zone that's making the bricks movable. You can see that as soon as I hit play, it's going to emit the ball at the wall, and the ball can completely fall over. If we jump into the tweak menu of one of these bricks, you can see that it's completely not movable. Now I'll take you through a quick setup with the destructible objects. Just got a crappy little boat here that I've sort of put together with some bricks, and I've used a modified version of the green bricks for this. So I'll show you how this works. I wanted the boat to be able to move. I didn't want them to fall apart as soon as they started moving with the movement sensor, so I had to delay that. So to get around that, I've added a trigger zone on an iceberg over here. So every time a brick gets hit by that trigger zone, it's going to become movable, just like we had before. But we've also added in an AND gate and a counter as well. So this tag is saying when the brick has become movable, it will stay movable, because this counter will count up to 1 and stay at 1. And that will be one of the conditions for our AND gate. The other condition is that it is moving. So if the brick is moving, and it has been activated by the trigger zone, then become movable. You can see here that if I hit this switch, it'll send the ship at the iceberg, and then when the ship hits the iceberg, it'll fall apart. That's because I've got a couple of trigger zones on this iceberg here that are activating those movable tags. So once the brick has become movable, it will stay movable until it stops moving completely. Alright, I've got another example here with a puppet. This one's just got a trigger zone behind it, and that trigger zone is activating those tags again. We're just using those normal green bricks that will keep moving until they've come to a stop. We've got a timer plugged into this trigger zone so that it will not activate the trigger zone immediately. We've also got a force applier pushing these bricks down just a little bit faster than gravity. If we jump into test mode here and go for a bit of a run, you'll see that the bricks behind him, whoop, fall off the platform, you'll see that the bricks behind him start to fall away. Now you could do this normally, but you couldn't have quite as many movable objects. So you could only have probably 5 brick walls before you hit the movable object limit. But with this, you can just have as many as you like because they become movable when they're moving. For the final demonstration here, we've got these red bricks, and I'll show you what they can do with a bit of an explosion. I've just got a trigger zone around these bricks so that they become movable, and a force applier as well, also around them, just so that it pushes them all away. So as soon as I hit play here, there's a big explosion, and they all explode outwards. You can do this with other forces as well, so I've got a tank over here, built by Flecromancer, and if we turn this one on, it's going to shoot a bullet at the wall and blow it completely apart. That's quite expensive while it's happening, but then as soon as the bricks stop moving, they all become static again, and you get all of your frames per second back if you lost any in the first place. That's about all for this one, guys. I just showed lots of examples with bricks here, but you can use this for literally anything movable in your scene, and it will definitely give you some frames per second back if you're using a lot of movable objects. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'll see you in the next one.